Welcome to Behavioral Grooves. My name is Kurt Nelson.
And I'm Tim Houlihan, and we explore the why we do what we do question and then apply the answers to our work and life.
Today we're actually doing a continuation of our series on the Principles of Persuasion by Bob Cialdini. And with that, we are going to talk about scarcity. So Tim, help us understand what is scarcity and why does it motivate people?
Well, I got to be quick, Kurt, because I've only got a minute. So,
no. So I'm valuing this more, aren't I?
Right, so we value it more. So scarcity has a history of being something that we've valued. Economics, for a long time, has said that items where there are fewer available are necessarily worth more.
Diamonds. They limit the supply of diamonds, thus diamonds are way more expensive than they really should be, given the fact that there's actually a whole lot of them.
Exactly. And marketers have used this for a long time. You know, you go to an airline website and you're checking out the seats that are available, and the airline will tell you there's only 4 seats left at this price.
Yeah. Or, hey, sale ends today. Make sure you buy now because you're going to get, price is going to be jacked up. There's only a limited amount of time.
Which is scarcity.
Or there's 10 more in stock. Order now.
How do behavioral scientists define scarcity, Kurt?
Basically, it gets down to people want more of the things that they can have less of, right? There's this element of anticipated regret. So if we think about the way that we value something, we anticipate the utility or the pleasure that we're going to get from it. But all of a sudden, if we think that it could be gone in the future, wow, that means that I need to get it now because I'm anticipating that regret. And actually, that anticipated regret impacts my emotions right now, which is part of the reason that we go for it. It goes back to prospect theory. It goes back to a number of those different components about, how certain we are about things and various different things. And so if there's less of it, I need to be more certain about getting it now because I'm less certain about getting it in the future.
And there's a lot of research around this, but Cialdini considered this was one of the 6 primary principles.
It was. And so as you think about how, persuasion and how we get persuaded, things that are, we're more likely to buy something because there's scarcity involved, right? We're more likely to do something because there's a limited number of opportunities for us to do it. And I think that's really important. So
even when it's not necessarily really natively important to us, like the cookie jar study,
they looked at giving people the option of getting a cookie out of a cookie jar that had 10 cookies in it, or a cookie jar that had 2 cookies in it. And people preferred the cookie that came from the 2 cookie jar. But it was the exact same cookies. And that was done by Wurchel. So, and I can't remember exactly when it was. But it was really, again, the component that's saying, oh, there's only 2 of these cookies left. Isn't it great that you got that one? You actually enjoyed that cookie more than when there's 10 cookies. Everybody has one. So there's an element of kind of exclusivity that you get. It's the Concorde for however many years was flying across, and it got to the point where it was losing money. Well, as soon as they announced that they were going away, the very next day they were sold out. Yeah. I mean, the Concorde was sold out because everybody wanted to fly on the Concorde now because they knew that in 6 months it was going to be, stopped and they weren't going to do it. So,
which is part of why weddings oftentimes are the biggest parties of our lives, because we don't anticipate ever having another party as big as our wedding. So we go all out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, some of my friends have multiple parties, but but that's a separate thing. They weren't anticipating that, so there you go. All right,
they weren't anticipating that. So what's the application?
So I think one of the cool applications is how do we use this to really prioritize some of the things in our lives that are important to us. And actually, Tim Urban, who has the blog or the website called Wait But Why, great guy, does this great thing on procrastination on TED Talk. If you haven't seen it, listen to it. Go watch it. It's fantastic. But he also has this thing that he calls a life calendar. And basically, it is just it's like a graph chart, 52 across, 90 down. So each little block in that graph is a week of your life. And so what he tells people to do is, look, you start filling it in. So I'm 52 years old, so I would black out 52 lines across, Yeah,
52 rows.
52 by 52. I have a perfect square. I never thought about that. Look
You
at that.
are a perfect square.
I am a perfect square on that. And then you look at that and you go, and if the average life is somewhere in 90, I think he has, but average life are in the 80s. I only have a third of white space left on my life map, right?
Yeah.
And then he also does things in one of his blogs where he does that, and he also overlays things with how old are you and how old are your parents? And so how many years are you going to have left with your parents? And so all of a sudden, we don't necessarily think about that, but wow, that might only be 10 years. It might only be 20 years. It might only be 5 years on average. And so that becomes more scarce. And so we value it more. Or how many years, my wife and I think about this is, my oldest is 13. He's going to leave for college, hopefully, in 5 years. And,
Right.
we have 5 years left with him,
That's it,
And so,
yeah.
he's going through teenage craziness. But you know what? I value that time with him much more now because I realize I only have 5 years really left of him living at home until he graduates college and comes back and crashes on the couch for the next 10 years. But
That's
I'm
in the
not
future.
anticipating that like my friends aren't anticipating their second, third, and fourth marriages. There you go.
In addition to value, focus gets created with scarcity.
You talk about that, yeah.
Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir wrote in their book about scarcity the importance of the creation of focus. And so, just as you're talking about, if you've blocked out 52 rows of your lifelong chart, it is absolutely going to help you focus more on those final however many years, 30 plus years that are available. We can do that. We could limit that and actually put that to use more about how do we want to spend our day or our week. We could actually kind of cap it because time and money are the ultimate in scarcity. They are limited resources.
Money isn't, but time is.
For me, money is, and we could absolutely have we could organize our day in such a way that says what are the most precious things that we want to do today, and
we have X number of hours in our day
to do them.
And am I going to spend them, twittering them away, quote unquote, right? Pun intended. Or am I going to spend them on things that have value for me? And so, again, thinking about this from a focus component, I think is really interesting. A motivational element of having that, hey, this might be my last opportunity to spend some time with my 13-year-old son. He's going to turn 14 soon, and this might be the last time I get to do something with him at this time. And that then element of hey, this may be the last time or one of the last times I get to do this, really adds some focus. And I think to your point, helps us prioritize what we need to do and when we should do it. So we're not sitting there twittering away.
No more twittering.
No more twittering.
With that, listeners, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you for hanging out with us. And if you enjoyed this episode, we have a number of more of the Cialdini components coming on. But leave a good review and let us know how we're doing. And with that, thank you.